I'll be attempting to repair a charging port for a Samsung Tab 3. Some of the tools I'll be using today is Antec Flux, which is simply one of the best flux on the market that you can buy, some reflective tape, a leaded solder, screwdriver and a praying tool. In terms of soldering equipment, I'll be using a soldering station, which is one of my favourite one, the Metcal MX500 series. I've got a cheap hot air station, Atten hot air station. I do have a decent Metcal HTC 900 up there, but I won't be using that. It's just way too powerful for the job. And the other thing is I've bought a little microscope here, so I can actually sort of focus on the micro soldering, which I could not be able to do on one of my previous video. So this is a second attempt to sort of try to get a decent recording, so you can sort of watch how the soldering process is done. Right, so let's get started. You need a praying tool. What you want to do is go around and sort of pray, and you'll hear it sort of clicking out of place, and that means that the clips are sort of getting undone. I don't think you can hear that, but I can sort of certainly. There we go. There you go. You can now hear some of the clicking. Okay. Go on to the side again. Again. I think that will be it. As you can, the screen gets lifted this way. What you want to do now is basically, let me just get a bit more light. I think that might be too much. Might be. Yes, it is too much light. Okay, never mind. Right, okay. What you want to sort of focus. Sorry, just bear with me. Let me just sort of get this camera in focus. Okay, never mind. Right, okay. So the screws are here. There's one there, one here. I'm so sorry that the reflection from the lights. I do sort of work under extreme bright light. It just makes my life easier, but it's sort of. It can sort of the glare. What you would see is actually sort of due to the extreme light. Right, before moving the PCB, what I would like to do is sort of remove the battery. So the screws that's holding the battery is this, and there is a screw here. When you do sort of pray out the connector, just be careful that you don't just pray out one corner completely. Just pray out one side and then the other side, because sometimes what tends to happen is the edge of this connector will snap and stay inside the actual PCB, sorry, the connection on the PCB itself. So for example, I'm going to use a metal shape. Let me see if I can. Did have a praying tool plastic thingy, so let's just sort of, okay, and then go, and then there you go, and that'll just sort of lift. Right, let's undo the screw. In fact, I might use this little toy here I've bought off eBay for about £40. It's quick, but you've got to be careful you don't sort of damage the tip thread of screw thread. Okay, so the battery's out now. Now what we've got to do is these screw here. There's one there. There's one in the center, and there is one here, and two on this back plate. So I'll undo them again. I'll use this little tool. Okay, I won't be needing that for now. Those screws in a safe place. Right, what you want to do now is basically take these connectors off the PCB. Just be careful you don't force them. So there's one there, one here, one here, one there, one here, one here. Okay, I'm doing it by my hand. I suppose I can do that, it's not a problem. I'm so sort of used to it. Right, and slowly raise the PCB out of the casing. Just be careful with those connector ribbons. You don't want to sort of tear or damage them as you sort of lift. There you go. Okay, now that can go away. Right, this back plate needs to come out if where necessary. It would probably make the sort of soldering, desoldering of this port a lot easier. So what we're going to do here now is apply a bit of heat and just slowly pray it out. Just wait for that temperature to drop to about 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, and here we go. Let's just sort of preheat the back plate. That'll do. Get a small tip screwdriver, and if I can find one, I do have lots of screwdrivers here. There you go, something with a fine flat tip, and just sort of pray it out. There we go. Here we are. Right, so I won't be needing that for now. I can just go there. Right, what I'm going to do now is sort of mask this area with aluminium reflective tape, because I'll be using quite an extreme temperature. So, you know, you're talking about the hot air station setting at 400 degrees Celsius, so I don't want any of the surrounding components to be heated up. So just to sort of take, you know, minimise the risk of causing further problem, I'm going to sort of use this reflective tape. That's all he needs. I'm going to have to sort of mess with this light settings. I am so sorry that this... Okay, so that's it, just covering that area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of turn the soldering station on, and basically I will sort of reflow these solder joints with leaded solder. I'm going to sort of pinch some of this off here and apply the back, because what I don't want is the extreme heat sort of causing any issues on the opposite side of the board, because the PCB will run quite hot. Right, okay, what I will be using is this to sort of safeguard my worktop from heat, and I'll be using a little PCB support to actually hold the board in place for me. There you go. Okay. Right, now apply a bit of flux. Around the joints. I'll turn the soldering station on, make sure I have the right tip. I use a tip which is sort of a chronicle type. If I can get an angle to show you, there we go. It sort of it's easy to solder. It's got a sort of a sharp tip, but it's sort of in an angle. Power the soldering station on. You can see what I'm using. There you go, that's what I'm using, but I'll be focusing on the SKK now. This is where this little thing comes into effect. I know it's a cheap ass microscope, but at least you'll get some idea as to what I'm doing. Okay, that glare is horrible from reflective tape. Just try and get an angle. Hopefully that's better. Okay, now I'll turn my extractor fan because I will not be soldering without my extractor fan on. Oops, got that. Okay, okay, solder. Well, they're wondering what this water, what content is in this bottle. It's deionized water, basically, to sort of wet the solder pad, the sponge. Sorry, I meant to say. Right. Okay. Let's see if we can sort of an angle. Okay, here we go. The whole idea is that applying leaded solder, the desoldering process will be a lot better because the melting point of the leaded solder is a lot less than the lead, and secondly, the lead solder is much better to work with. I'm not bothered how much solder I put on these joints. It doesn't bother me because it's all coming off. Okay, that'll do for now. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply heat to sort of desolder this. Now I'm going to set my hot air station to about 400 degrees Celsius, and then once that's done, I'll be sort of preheating the board. I'm going to leave the fan running, but maybe just put it back a little bit with the tweezer. Okay, and now I'm going to sort of start preheating the board. Probably switch to microscope. Okay. Right, so what I could do with additional light, actually, I'm going to turn some additional light because I think I love lights. Absolutely fab to sort of work with enough light so you can see better. That might be just a bit too much, I guess. But yeah, I'll leave it here. Right, okay. Here we go. I'm going to preheat the board. I go around, so I'm not sort of targeting one area. And as soon as I can sort of see that the solder's sort of becoming liquidous, and one of the indication is that you can see it sort of turning into silver, I know it's time to take off, and it's just as easy as that. There we go. That's off. Else. Okay, what I'm going to be using, which I didn't mention actually, is copper braid. If I can get my hands on it. That'd be the Goop Weaker mouse here. That'd be the Goop Week 35, I don't know if you can see, 3515. These are from a UK supply and they are original Goop Week, not the cheap Goop Week what you can buy for £4 off eBay. Forgive me for the camera thingy, I can't sort of I can't alter the zoom on this, so I'm going to sort of live with that. Right, I'm going to go back onto the full screen on soldering sort of a thing. Let me have a look. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and apply a bit of flux around. Okay, and then to chop the take this off. Okay, it's gone. And just gently sort of apply heat onto the copper braid and remove the excessive solder from the PCB. What you don't want to do is press hard or pull the copper braid if it's stuck. You sort of, what you're trying to do is sort of glide like this. You're literally gliding that. If you get stuck, don't pull the copper braid, because what you might do is pull off these small pads, and if you do that, you're gonna be in a bit of a trouble to sort of sort those connections out before you can sort of reassemble the unit back and sort it out. So that's that. What we're going to do now is clean the surface with IPA 100% and the help of a cotton bud. This flux are non-conductive, but it's sort of a nice finish. You keep the PCB clean and so on and so forth. Right, okay, so that can go in the bin. I don't need that now. Now what I'm going to do is apply a bit more flux and then tin those pads and the surrounding area. I'm hoping that I don't need to sort of resolder every joint. So I'm hoping that I can sort of I can get away with it. What I'm doing now here is just sort of removing any excess flux. Okay, now I'll be applying solder. I need a bit more flux because of the shitty. What flux help is to reflow the solder joints better. It is crucial to sort of have decent flux, decent solder. It makes your life a lot easy. I'm just going to sort of. It's a soldering step known as drag soldering. I do have the right tip for that, but I'm not going to change this tip now. Actually, I just want to sort of get on with it and get it done and over with, sort of thing. So, hopefully that'll do. Okay. We'll go over this joint again. I'm not sort of happy the way it looks. That's much better. Okay, now what this stage is, basically I'm going to tin the I'm going to remove this in fact, bear with me. sorry, I was disrupted by something, so I just sort of see to that. Okay, so here we have is a little port that we're going to put on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tin those little connections here. Then probably show you under the microscope anyway, so let's not be concerned about that. Okay, where is it? Okay, I'll be tinning them joints actually, and one of the purposes for that is basically to sort of when I put the port back in, I may not need to resolder every solder joints because it's already been solders applied, and as soon as I put the heat onto it and all the solders here and that gets sort of bonded together, so I may not need to sort of reflow all the joints again. So what I'm going to do now is apply a bit of flux. All I need is tiny amount of solder. So I'm going to sort of tin the tip of that and maybe just I can use the microscope here, but I think my eyes is good enough to do. But if you want me to sort of, I don't need to check it. I honestly don't need to check this. They are tiny joints, but yeah, they're perfectly all right. I'm quite happy with it. Once I've sort of put this on place, I may need to sort of, I will check actually under my microscope. Now, okay, the next step is basically I'm going to preheat the board again. And let me sort of get this in an angle so you can see what's happening. Oh, okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab hold onto this because I need to drop it as soon as the solder is sort of liquidous. Right, here we go. What I'm doing now is I'm sort of hovering over. I don't know if you can see, but I'm not going to go that low. I'm going to stay about 3 to 4 centimeters away from the PCB. And just preheat the area until I can see that the solders become liquidous, and I can see it now. Yes, absolutely. Now all I'm going to do now is drop that thing in there and press it down. Okay, and I think we're good to go. As easy as that, guys. Okay, let's wait for it to cool down. Do have a little compressor, but I'd probably just wait for it to cool down. In fact, I'll just turn the compressor on. I can turn the fan off. Just bear with me. Probably wondering why am I doing what I'm doing. It just makes it quicker. I just want this cold, and I can inspect the joints and take it out of the PCB, and you know. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to inspect the solder joints under my main microscope. Okay. Yep, I may need to sort of reflow a couple of those joints actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move everything from here. Compressor can go to hell now. That's done. Okay, if I can get you an angle, that would be absolutely lovely. So please bear with me until I sort of mess around with this and get this sorted. Right, what you've got to bear in mind is these flux is sort of be very careful. The warnings are written on it for cause of cancer, so always wear protective glove and always make sure the area these flux are sort of you've worked around is always kept clean and after, you know, so and so forth. So just please make sure that you look after your health. Okay, yeah, just a few joints that need sort of reapplying solders. So let me sort of see if I can get a decent angle for you guys with this. I'm sure I can. I'm certain I've done it. Tested this the other day. It's pretty smart, but it's a bit of a faffing around. It is a bit of a faffing around. Yep. The visibility is not so great versus the microscope here, so we're just going to have to live with that, unfortunately. Then that's as good as it's going to get, unfortunately. Right, okay, I'm under the microscope. I am. I'm going to apply a bit of flux here. Okay, and then just sort of tin those pads, you know, just sort of apply a bit of solder on those pads. Right, I'm going to have to sort of turn the fan on again. Move all this stuff before the fan sort of sucks all the stuff. It's happened before. Don't need this. Won't need that anymore. Bring this hose over here, so I'm not sort of inhaling the crap fume that comes out of the solderer. Okay. And then here we go. I honestly wish I could actually show you. But just bear in mind these joints, I'm poking up them less than sort of 2 seconds out per joint. It's just the way the mathematics, the science behind soldering, you know. It's recommended not to sort of apply the tip of the soldering iron for more than 2 seconds on the actual solder or wherever you're soldering, really. Right, that's all. That's done. Fan can bugger off. That can go. Okay. I don't need the hot air station. Maybe I will actually. Okay. Now I'm going to sort of move back here and sort of. Well, I don't know if I can get you a view of this, but let's give it a shot. No. Fuck no. No, sorry. That's not going to happen now, unfortunately. So that's out of question now. So we'll remove this. I'd like to sort of show you the quality of soldering and how it's all, you know, how the joint looks like, but it's just not going to happen, unfortunately, because of this shitty camera that I have can't focus properly. I'm just going to clean the rest of the residue left from the flux. I would absolutely love to show you the solder joints. You can't even tell, because the way I've sort of dropped the port in there and it didn't sort of solder over it. Particularly the fore leg it looks like factory sort of finish. You can't even tell that it's been removed and reapplied. A new port. In fact, what I might do, guys, is I'm gonna have to edit this video actually. I'll show you how good the soldering joint is on this. Well, what my views are in terms of the soldering side of it. So, now it decides to focus. Stupid camera. I think I'm on higher magnification. Oh, it's 10 times that actually. Right, just bear with me. Let me just sort of clean the area, because it's a bit of a residue that can be seen on here. So I'll wipe this off. 32 minutes, no way. Right, okay. I'm too slow on performing. Right, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some camera shot, and then I'll sort of add that onto my video so you guys can have a look. Right guys, here's what I'm referring to. Hopefully you can see the joints there. I'll probably tilt this toward, there you go, that's that side, that's that side, and these are all the solder joints, you know. The ones that you've got to be concerned about if you're doing drag soldering on these, or micro soldering, whatever it is the last 3 pin towards your left is the ones that sort of tends to bridge if you're not very careful with it. So there we go. It's an absolutely nightmare to sort of hold. There we go. Hopefully that's sort of that'll do the job. That's all now. Right, I don't need this. I'll blow a bit of compressed air, get rid of any. Don't need the microscope. Bit of that. Just going to preheat the. In fact, there's some residue left over by this reflective tape. Very little residue. I'm just going to sort of. It just looks more professional. You know, when somebody opens up this PCB, they have absolutely no idea if it's been attempted. A repair has been attempted on it prior to. So. Check the opposite side. Opposite side's absolutely fine, no problem. Don't need that. Go away, you. Might be just a little bit of a residue here. Otherwise, everything seems good. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a bit of I'm going to preheat the bod just for a few seconds. All the surrounding components to about 100 degrees, just to sort of evaporate any sort of leftover or IPA. It's taking a bit longer. Usually, when I'm not doing videos, I'd literally just strip the whole thing down and it'll be done, you know, very quickly. Now, I do sincerely apologise for the fact that the camera is glare and the lights I'm using is just super bright in this room. So forgive me for the fact that you can't sort of have a very clear view. And not only that, I've got a crappy camera here that's doing all the recording. I think my iPhone 6 Plus is far better to that extent. Right, okay, what we're going to do is move on to the next stage of putting the PCB back. But before you put the PCB back, you need to sort of reapply this back plate onto the PCB. Okay, that's done. And when you do sort of reapply the PCB, just be careful. You need to raise these contacts and don't damage the ribbon. Be careful. So nice and gently drop the PCB in. Okay. Okay, fantastic. Right, now screws. I'm going to get a magnet to hold these bloody screws in place, because when something drops on this floor, may God help me finding it. Might not use this for the full tightening process because it does spin quite fast, so I'll see how it goes. Okay, not too bad. I've only just bought this a couple of about a week ago, something like that. So what I'm doing is just redoing the screws what I've done I've undone previously. Screwdriver's not bad. You know, it's a pretty very small. I might even consider doing a little review on this versus some of the screwdrivers I've been using. It's pretty very light. The only thing is that it could have done with the clutch control. I don't mind paying what I paid. You know, I don't mind paying more than what I've paid for this, providing that it's got a decent clutch system. Now you can sort of buy proper industrial level screwdrivers, but they are sort of, you're talking about, in UK currency, you're talking about 500-600, even up to £700, maybe even more than that. But I think this gets me by. Okay. Right, I'm sure, yes, correct. I thought there was a screw left here. Why? Okay, now the battery goes back in. Okay, I won't put the connector back in, but let's put all the screws in, and then I'm going to press down on the connectors and reconnect them. And this is a typical example of when these screws go missing. You're going to have hard time finding them. Okay. See, this runs so, the spin of this screwdriver is so quick that it just sort of, within less than a second your screws are sort of in place, so that's pretty smart, this actually. Right, what we're going to do is I'm going to put these connectors back in. What you need to be careful with is basically when you pinch them back in, try and realign them and have a visual inspection before you press it down, because what you don't want to do is damage the connectors. So that's one done. That's another one. 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 Okay, once those are done now, just press down on them firmly. Make sure that this is all okay. Now what you can do is sort of press down on the battery connector and connect that. Okay, so what the next step and the final step is easy peasy. It's just to sort of put this back on. I'm not going to bother testing because I'm so confident with my work that I'm pretty certain that the charging charging thing's going to work. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch a charger and sort of demonstrate that it is hopefully working. Okay, well I'm going to have to leave it on charge because I think what's happened is the battery's completely dead. So unfortunately I can't actually sort of go through the process of waiting for maybe however long it's going to take. I'm going to take this off just to sort of make sure that when I'm charging there's nothing that's heating up then it's normal temperature. I can't imagine that the damaged port would short any components. A bit of a nightmare. Gloves, I hate gloves to the extent where it's just sort of very slippery. Okay, I'll just sort of phase out. Right, now I'm going to leave it plugged in and see how the charging phase goes. Okay, I won't be videoing this now, so it's already been 41 minutes guys, so I'm just sort of a bit concerned about time. That's on charge. Let's just sort of wait and see what happens. Just make sure that the voltages are coming through. From the charger, I will sort of measure around. Okay. It's stiff because of a new charging port, that's what it is. It's not because of anything else. Right, okay, so yep. So you can see that the voltage is sort of fluctuating on the port, so I think that the way the charger works is basically it sends pulses of okay, so that's ground. That's ground. Okay, so I think what's actually happened here is the batteries, they've not been utilising this and the battery's been totally dead. So what I'll have to do is I'll leave the battery on charge for maybe up to 20 minutes, half an hour, and then hopefully that will sort of rectify. But as you can see that the voltages are present and it's coming through the charger, so the charging port repair attempt has been successful. Thank you guys for watching, and if you've got any questions, by all means you can sort of leave a comment at my YouTube channel and I'll get back to you. Thank you for watching.